He had a prior rape conviction when he moved to Gary, Indiana. He killed 7 women before anyone connected the cases. Darren Deon Vann was 43 when arrested in October 2014. He had served time in Texas for sexual assault, registered as a sex offender in Indiana, and kept his registration current. His address was known. None of that stopped him. The 7 victims, Afrika Hardy, Anith Jones, Teaira Batey, Kristine Williams, Tracy Martin, Sonya Billingsley, and a woman identified only as Miss Anderson, were all black women living in Gary and in neighboring Hammond. Their bodies were discovered in abandoned buildings, a motel room, and overgrown lots. Gary is a city of fewer than 80,000 people that has lost more than half its population since 1960. A post-industrial landscape of vacant structures, diminished tax revenue, and stretched municipal services. The police department was thinly staffed. Investigations moved slowly, and many of the women's disappearances were not reported promptly because of the precariousness of their lives and the distrust that can accompany it. Vann was only caught because Afrika Hardy left his contact information on her phone, and within hours investigators traced that link back to him. The case began with Afrika Hardy, 19 years old, found dead in a bathtub at the Super 8 motel in Hammond on October 17, 2014. She had been strangled. Her phone records showed a connection to Vann before she went to the motel. Hammond police arrested him within hours. During interrogation, Vann said he wanted to show investigators something, and then he led them on a tour of Gary and Hammond, pointing to locations where he had concealed 6 other bodies. Some remains had been in place for weeks, others for months. Teaira Batey, 27, was located in an abandoned house on Carolina Street. Anith Jones, 35, was found in an abandoned home on Virginia Street. Kristine Williams, 36, was recovered at a vacant property on Jackson Street. Tracy Martin, 41, was discovered in a trash container near a parking lot. Sonya Billingsley, 46, was located in another abandoned dwelling. Miss Anderson was found in a separate vacant structure. When police asked whether there were more victims, Vann hesitated and then said he wasn't sure. He was charged with 7 counts of murder. The investigators faced a persistent question they could not fully answer. How many of these women had been reported missing, and what happened to those reports? These were not abstract figures. Afrika Hardy had a young daughter. She was 19 and working to support her child. Anith Jones had family who recalled her struggles and her attempts to stabilize her life. Kristine Williams' sister said Kristine had not been heard from for weeks and that she did not know where else to turn. Tracy Martin had people who loved her. Sonya Billingsley had a mother who spoke afterward with a quiet, enduring grief. These women were known and missed, yet the systemic failure behind their disappearances was not a single act. It was a chronic erosion of capacity. Gary's economic collapse had hollowed out municipal resources, leaving a police force that struggled to keep up with violent crime, and a community where adult missing persons reports were not always treated with urgency. Researchers who study serial predation in economically distressed cities have documented similar patterns. Predators exploit gaps in social safety nets and law enforcement attention, and vulnerable people can become effectively invisible. The sex offender registry, in Vann's case, worked as designed. He was registered, his status was public, but it did nothing to prevent his movement through neighborhoods of vacant homes and unreported absences. The legal aftermath was decisive in one register and agonizingly incomplete in others. Vann pleaded guilty to all 7 murders in 2018 and received a sentence totaling 245 years without the possibility of parole. He offered no motive beyond a chillingly frank claim that he chose victims he thought were unlikely to be quickly missed. Federal assistance followed for the Gary Police Department, and officials said they improved missing persons protocols and investigative coordination. Advocates for missing and murdered black women have pointed to the Vann case as a clear example of how a predatory calculation that certain lives will not be prioritized recurs across cities with strained resources. The vacant buildings where bodies were left remain a stark reminder of structural decline. The families continue to carry questions about why the connection between cases took so long to emerge. If Vann had targeted 7 white women in a prosperous suburb, would the pattern have been detected sooner? That is the uncomfortable comparison at the heart of the debate about public attention and institutional response. Subscribe to Case Files TV because the unequal calculus of whose disappearances are treated urgently and whose are allowed to languish matters more than many are willing to say aloud, and because holding systems accountable requires sustained public attention.